It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 234. Tonight I'm joined by Ashgar.
I apologize that I was unprepared to sing.
Kodra.
And you'll pee.
Tam.
In a world of...
Thalen.
Pure imagination.
So that's going to come up later. There's a reason why that happened. Also, welcome to... Is this season 4 or season 5?
Season 5?
I think it's season 5.
It's
either
season...
I
thought
yeah,
we
not
didn't do that.
really.
It's just season 1.
We increment the season every year, even though we don't actually reset the number.
Oh, right. Okay.
If you look on iTunes, we have seasons.
Yeah, we have seasons.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I did not realize.
Huh.
Because I increment it every year.
Anyway, it's 2019. Hooray!
And, we're taking a slightly different path through 2019 than we normally do, because we've already recorded our Games of the Year show, because I have been unable to go to PAX South lately. And as a result, I am able to record, and we're not using the Games of the Year show as a way of somehow plastering over the fact that I'm not there and not recording. So yeah, this is a weird experience.
It's also possible to record from PAX South. You know, I did this last year.
It is, but
it can be done.
Yeah, hotel internet is kind of crappy, but yeah,
I mean, if you're in the hotels really close, it's quite good.
I wish it was 1 week later.
I also wish this.
The main reason why I can't go to PAX South right now is I usually take a road trip with my wife, and her school has a requirement that she cannot miss within the first 15 days of the beginning of a semester and the end of a semester. So she can't, maybe it's not 15, maybe it's just 10, but whatever the case, this weekend is 1 weekend too early. And they've done this 2 years in a row, and it does not appear that the tickets are selling as well, considering yesterday when I looked, they still had 3-day passes.
Seems kind of likely.
So yeah, that's the thing.
It's over Martin Luther King Day this year, but that's
well, that's what it was last year too.
Yeah, but that's still really early in the year.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, we're doing things in a different order. So last week we recorded the Games of the Year show, and we had a few honorable mentions, and since that show already went 2 hours, we're kind of punting that to this week. So the weird thing about that is, we were talking about this before we started recording, most of what things I would normally consider honorable mentions were covered by someone else on the podcast. We backed each other up extremely well. Because there were some things that I had a hard time deciding whether or not I wanted to include in my list, and in the end they were things we talked about anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll leave this off because I only have one thing that fits on the honorable mention list, and that's I came really close to including Let's Go Pokemon, because I think it's a very refreshing take on Pokemon, and as someone that is not well indoctrinated into it, it was enjoyable for me. It was a super fun experience since I mostly only care about catching Pokemon. And that game is mostly about catching Pokemon.
I thought it was cool, but certain things about that game enraged me. More than actual Pokemon Go.
I mean, you are also someone that is deeply integrated into the Pokemon genre.
It's true, but even in normal Pokemon Go, they don't seem quite so ready to run away as quickly.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that.
It gets worse as you get further in, too.
Yes.
Ugh.
Noticeably worse. It's oh, yeah, this is a thing now.
I really like what Pokemon Go represents, even if I don't like everything about the game. And I don't know, maybe that's a weird stance to take, but I
think it is cool. There are definitely some things about it that bother me. It doesn't quite even make my honorable mentions this year, but it was a cool game.
I think when we talked about it before, I brought it up, but I'm really excited about where Let's Go means that Pokemon might go as a series. Because I think that as classic as it is, it badly needs some design overhauls in a number of places, and Let's Go seemed to be like, we might do that. We'll at least toy with the idea.
I'm curious because one of the things that kind of, I guess, concerned me when I was looking at it is it seems like it's very much trading on nostalgia of the original Pokemon.
It is also doing that thing to the exclusion of every Pokemon that's come after it.
Which I'm not sure I like that. So that's kind of where I'm kind of discomfortable with the idea of that game. It looks very cool. It looks beautiful. Like the way they're designing fights look awesome, but that particular element of it just doesn't look great to me.
It reads like an experiment in a familiar place for me.
And the thing is like, I would be cool if they continue using the Let's Go series as sort of an experimental ground to figure out what is going to work and what isn't going to work for the mainline Pokemon games.
I'd be okay if they just straight up continue the Let's Go series. Like, I would not be terribly surprised to get like a gold and silver versions.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But like, they started Pokemon Go with just the original Pokemon, and that was fine. Pokemon Go didn't really have that much in the way of battling when it first came out. It kind of shows that the original Pokemon were not all that balanced in Let's Go.
Oh, yes. That part is definitely true. Like, yeah, it's why I say I like the idea of it more than I think I like the reality, because it's like they tried a bunch of things. Some of the things they tried, like the flea rates, for example, don't really work all that well, although, it's one of those things that until you actually sit there with it, it would be hard to know that. But like that's a thing you can iterate on. Like that's an easy set of numbers to tweak or items to create or whatever. But like the idea of let's change your like moment to moment interaction and like the beautifully rendered 3D world, like all of that stuff is a great step forward for like Pokemon as a series.
You got a lot of flack for that world.
I mean, they made changes. They're getting a lot of flack for it. They're not making another Game Boy-esque Pokemon game. But I think that's a good thing. Like, I think it's good that they're doing that before Pokemon collapses under its own weight. Because it's not there yet, which means that experimenting is right now is the best time to experiment with it.
Okay, another thing that made the list was Celeste. Kodra, this is one of yours.
Yeah, so Celeste is just an absolutely gorgeous, really difficult 2D platformer that is aware it's a difficult 2D platformer and is trying to be as accessible as it possibly can about it. And it's telling a really lovely personal story in the process, while really giving you the tools to feel awesome as you are flying through these levels. This game is definitely way up there. Basically, it didn't make my list because Hollow Knight kind of edged it out for me, but Celeste is a real beautiful game and a great story, and I only discovered after I had played it a whole bunch by one of my old favorite creators, because I used to love the Jumper games. I didn't realize it was by the guy who made that.
I should have played Celeste instead of Greece.
Greece. Spanish, not French.
Huh. I thought it was French, not Spanish.
They're in Barcelona or something like that.
Oh, so it might be. So it's Catalan, which is even more insane. Got it.
So this month, Celeste is one of the games with gold titles, so you can get it on an Xbox platform for free. And I played a little bit of it and have already decided it's not really my game, but like I kind of dig what it's doing. Like it's doing a good job of telling me how I should be playing it, but I don't really want to be playing that sort of game.
That's cool. I would have to own an Xbox, but
I don't think it's like a cross-buy through the Windows Store sort of thing either. But it was just, we were talking about it in passing, and I noticed it was one of the freebies this month, so just food for thought. Another one was Starlink Battle for Atlas.
So I normally any game that I like play all the way start to finish without stopping would make my game of the year, and like Starlink doesn't quite do that, but man, I thought about it. It's just fun. Like it's not a super complicated game. It has just enough progression for me to have a lot of fun with it. It's got some kind of weird, like flight versus hover mechanics going on that are a little confused, but like whatever. I played it's just basically a Star Fox game if you play it on the Switch, which is still incredibly weird to me, but whatever, it was great. The Star Fox team helps out some kind of incompetent people, some like incompetent dysfunctional people, and shows them what it's like to be competent and functional and save the galaxy, and everyone goes home happy at the end, or dead. But yeah, best Star Fox game since Star Fox 64. And like, it's flippant, but like, it really is. The level of integration with the Star Fox team is ridiculous, and it's pretty fun. Like, I don't know, I really enjoyed flying, or I like arcade flyers, and I don't get a lot of them, and so that one really, I don't know, stuck with me.
Yeah,
Cool.
so it seems like a really cool game. The interchangeable components and like the toy elements are a little weird to me. I'm not sure how I feel about those.
The toy stuff is, I never actually use the toy stuff at all. I have a cool little plastic R-Wing, and that's the last I thought about it. I just used the in-game, I bought the You Have Everything pack. And
I mean, and I feel like that's really the way to play this game.
yeah, I agree.
It might be too late by the time this podcast comes out, but it was super on sale, even more than the base game, when on Switch eShop recently.
I mean, the only problem is, like, I feel like this bodes poorly for that game in general, since it seemed like it was obviously a way to sell toys.
Oh yes, it has failed miserably in that mission.
Oh yeah. But I also think that they could take that and say, okay, the toy part didn't really work, but everything else did. Let's maybe go with that. I suspect that that's not what happens, and that as a
You've never
franchise,
seen one of these.
yeah, I think that as a franchise is probably DOA, but I had fun with it. I don't regret my purchase, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay, Ash, Tangledeep.
Tangledeep is a game that I honestly have a hard time listing as a game of the year because I haven't played it since it left early access. But Tangledeep is a roguelike, actual roguelike for the PC currently, that is decided that the best way to design a class system is to just take FF5's class system.
Okay.
So that's why this is on this list.
Sold.
Like, it absolutely works well. They made a change late in early access to limit the number of abilities you could have at one time, which meant
That's
that
probably a good thing.
it was definitely a good thing.
So
But
you
I
weren't
haven't played it since it actually went live. Got a Switch version in the works to the point where the creator is playing it on Switch, but Nintendo hasn't put it through cert yet.
So what I'm hearing is pick it up on Switch when it comes out.
That'll probably happen soon. But in the meantime, you can play it on PC now. You know, it's a thing that exists. I said this about Hollow Knight. Nobody played it until after it came out on Switch.
I mean,
And
Like-
Tangledeep.
Okay, Thalen, did you have anything for the list?
Like, I didn't even have every spot on my list filled, so no.
Okay. No.
I had a
It's
hard
busy
time
year.
finding time to play games this year.
Yeah, it's legit.
Okay, Kodra, Civ 6.
This is probably one of the games I've played the most. I picked it up for the first time when it was on sale. I picked up most of the expansion packs at this point. It's really good. It's a really good Civ game. It gives you a lot of interesting ways to win the game, and it makes it clear how you are supposed to achieve those. It's got a lot more understandable asymmetry going on there. I feel like all of the Civ unique powers are cool. It's the best Civ game I've probably ever played. I really like it. The combat tactics are actually a lot of fun, like the trying to make sure that you are using your ranged units well, making sure you're using your melee units as blockers. It's just a really well designed game, and none of the units just seem completely throwaway. It seems like a lot of stuff has a point.
And soon you'll be able to play Canada.
Soon
build
you'll be
hockey
able
rinks.
to play Canada, and there will be a point to the tundra tiles.
Cannot declare surprise war or be declared on by surprise war
I feel
because
like
they're too polite.
They're too polite.
That's amazing.
I feel like if there's also the market advantage of no one would want to declare war on them because all of their cities are in garbage frozen wastes. Like, I don't build cities in tundras unless there's a resource I absolutely have to have. I'm really excited to have that area of the map suddenly be open up to me.
Yeah, because their leader bonus is they can build farms on Tundra, and buying snow and tundra tiles is half the price, and double resource extraction on snow and tundra tiles.
That's hilarious.
Canada wants to be in the snow.
Their Empire Unique building is a hockey.
Their Empire building is a hockey rink, which
And their special unit is Mounties.
I don't go in for the amenities too much, but maybe on higher difficulties I would. I'm currently playing on King. And the special units, the Mounties, which seem awesome. They basically act as like internal police. It's pretty cool.
And they can build national parks.
Yeah, which it feels like they're gonna I think they even mentioned they're designed for a tourism victory, which seems like they'll be good at.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And that's what I really like is like it's not just science and military now. Now there's science, there's military, there's tourism, there's religion. I think there's also like a couple of other victory conditions as well, but like there's a bunch of asymmetrical ways that you can play that game.
Yeah. I usually end up going for tourism victories because, I don't know, that's just how the way I play tends to lend itself to them. And they're a lot more interesting than they were in previous versions. The previous version being the culture victory, which was basically just get so goddamn big nobody else can, that everybody just bows down and realizes they're not worthy.
Yeah, no, like the mechanics of culture is really cool in this game. Like you're trying to acquire works of art and artifacts in all of these museums so that you can attract people to come and visit your place.
That's cool.
And to really get the high point combinations, you have got to get pieces of art and other cultural items from other civs. Like there are bonuses for things being all of different civilizations and time periods and things like that.
Oh yes, in the artifacts, I know that's true. Yeah, there's also like you are trying to come up with museums that are themed. Like you want to have an impressionist painter museum where all of your paintings are impressionists, but they're not the same artist. Or not impressionism, but like landscapes cool. Of different artists. It's really neat.
Yeah, so there is a reason for you to try and trade pieces of art and works of literature and archaeological artifacts and such with other civs. Because if you need a landscape and you haven't gotten a landscape artist, well, maybe Russia has a landscape that they don't need right now and could really use that, something that you've got.
Yeah, I feel like all of the paths to victory, possibly with the exception of the science victory, seem to be a lot more interesting and high fidelity. The science victory is more interesting, but boy is it hard. Boy is it like...
It's a lot harder than it used to be, yeah.
Did it still build a rocket ship to go to Alpha Centauri?
It's go and land on Mars. Like build a Martian colony, I think.
That's a little more reasonable.
But you have to like first like start your space program, and then you have to build a number of other like you have to explore Mars, and then you have to build like all of your Martian components.
Yeah, basically you have to launch a satellite, then you have to land a human on the moon, and then you have to establish a Martian colony.
I do not really play Civ games anymore because when I play a Civ game, I lose an entire weekend of my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gone. It's just gone.
That's actually what I'm really liking about this game is I can pop it open and like I know one more turn is a real thing, but also I can just leave it whenever and come back to it whenever and be like, okay, what was going on here? All right, well, let's do another couple turns and then like let's go do something else. Like especially where like I'm trying to fit gaming in, this game works very well for that.
Well, that's good. Because the problem I always had was, like, if I left it, I never could remember what the hell I was doing when I last played.
Taking over the world?
Yeah.
I
have units over here. I don't remember what I was doing with them, but I'm sure it was important last night. Okay. Tetris Effect, Tam.
I mean, I talked about this briefly before, but this is Tetris Effect is the VR game I've played more than everything else in VR combined, and it's great. Like I come down really, really hard on VR in general because I feel like it doesn't do a good job of offering experiences that I can't have on other types of hardware that are like more than novelty. And it's kind of true of Tetris Effect, although what Tetris Effect does is it takes the thing that I really liked doing in Lumines, where I would just like put it on, put in some headphones, blot out everything, all of my surroundings, and just Lumines for a while when I want to relax or, kill time on an airplane or whatever. Tetris Effect is super great for, I put on this headset, everything except Tetris Effect is blotted out for me. I am just going to 100% immerse myself in this surprisingly relaxing Tetris experience. And when I'm done, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like less stressed out. And it doesn't have as much like setup or making space for yourself or etc. that what is the harmonics game called?
I think you're thinking not a harmonics game.
Not Beat Saber, the other one. Rez.
Also not a harmonics game.
No? Oh, I thought it was. Anyway, Rez Infinite or whatever it is.
Just Rez again, but with VR.
Yeah. That one has a bunch of like, I need to set up space, I need to be like standing and moving around, whereas Tetris Effect, I can just like sit down, load it up, sit down, play Tetris, lose myself in it. And if I don't want to do that, I can take the headset off and just play it on the TV screen. It works fine. But it gets an honorable mention for me for being the first VR game that I play for more than a couple of nights and actually like come back to and hop on every so often and play. Like it is the best argument for the PSVR I own that I have.
I keep hearing people say Astrobot is the best argument for PSVR.
Is that what one?
Astrobot is the best argument for PSVR.
I haven't played that. I might try it.
Okay. Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Ash.
So when the Crash remakes came out in 2017, people noticed that the Crash games were not actually all that good. But the Spyro remakes came out last year, and at which point people noticed the opposite thing. Spyro Reignited Trilogy is a completely faithful remake of the first three games in the Spyro series, i.e. the ones by Insomniac.
The prequel to Skylanders.
Thanks. They are very 90s open world-ish collectathons, although divided into discrete levels in the case of Spyro games. Basically, you go here, you collect all the things you're told to, you beat a boss, you go to the next place. Eventually, you beat the game. This continues for 3 games worth. It turns out, actually, Spyro's movement is pretty good. You can charge, you can glide. In later games, you can fly in some areas. Maybe you get power-ups to these things. In the first game, you kind of don't. And the game design that went into them was much better than go down this linear corridor dodging obstacles until you get to the end of the level, which is what most of the Crash games are. So these held up pretty well, and I like them quite a bit. They just got edged out by other things to go for the Game of the Year show.
I want to replay these because I remember really loving them, but that was a while ago, and other things that I loved back then haven't held up as well for me personally for my tastes anymore.
Like most of the 90s?
Most of the 90s.
Most of the 90s, yes.
Okay, so we're also gonna do a slightly different thing today than we've done, I think, before, where there's a lot of potentially interesting things coming out in 2019. So we're gonna talk a little bit
coming out in 2019.
I say potentially
coming out in 2019.
In some cases,
potentially. So we're gonna talk about some of the things that we're looking forward to.
It'll be fun to listen to our Game of the Year 2019 show and see how many, if any, of these things make it onto the list.
Or how many of any of them exist when we record that show.
Or that.
So there's one game that's coming out in 3 weeks. They promise it's really coming out in 3 weeks. They swear.
I won't believe it until I actually have it. But Kingdom Hearts 3 has a release date at the end of January. And it must actually exist because people have copies because they leaked early.
Yeah.
The game went gold in mid-December.
Like we've been waiting for this game for 15 years?
Wait,
yeah,
what?
Almost
Really?
15 years. Concepts began in 2006.
Does this beat out Duke Nukem Forever for longest?
No.
No? Okay.
Not quite. But it's up there. Yeah, it is. Kingdom Hearts 2 came
I'm-
out. Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in America in March of 2006. So it's been 13 years.
I have to say, I have concerns about any game that's been in development that long.
I mean,
It
Final
hasn't
Fantasy
actually been in development that long.
yeah, Final Fantasy
They've
15 turned
developed
out really
other
great.
games between then and now that were not Kingdom Hearts 3. Specifically, Birth by Sleep, which was a prequel, and
Actually,
a
no.
PSP game.
This has been. It has taken longer for this game than Duke Nukem Forever. Duke Nukem Forever entered development in 1997. It released in 2011. So 14 years, not 15 years.
Well, it's not, this has only been 13.
This has only been
so-
13 years.
13
Okay.
Duke Nukem edges it out.
Okay.
Not by
I thought
much.
you said 15 earlier, not...
That
Almost
was my
15.
guess, because I knew it was pretty close to that.
Well,
Yeah. But still, it's not in great territory if you're, comparing your release dates to that.
But I mean, we've
I
established
mean,
by
yes,
this point
it's
that,
in longer territory than FF15, for example.
that Nomura takes forever to make games. Like, apparently that's just how he is.
like I would not have a lot of I would be pretty down on this game if I hadn't watched Square do impossible things multiple times previously. So,
Final Fantasy 15 turned out amazing. So
and it shouldn't have.
Okay.
Like, it, by every right, it should have been a disaster, and it somehow mostly wasn't. It was, in fact, quite good. And, like, Final Fantasy XIV should be dead, but it's not. I would believe... I mean, I'm willing to believe that they'll actually even make the FF7 remake, and it'll be good now. Oh, reality doesn't seem to apply to
It may not
that.
happen till, 2022, but...
Whatever, like...
I'd say that's pretty optimistic, honestly.
My children will be playing it at the same age I played it originally. Whatever.
Your children from the person you haven't met yet.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's my theory now. Final Fantasy VII remake will come out in time for my son to play it when he's in college, just like I did.
Yep.
Oh my god. Okay. So another game that's coming out soonish that I feel I am really looking forward to after having done things that I can't talk about. Anthem.
I really hope this game is good.
I also really hope this game is good. I feel like this is the last shot BioWare has before EA dissolves them as a studio. Like, I am not being hyperbolic with that because that's a thing EA does.
I mean, they currently have a gun to EA's head and are daring them to pull the trigger.
It's true. I get the impression that there is what you might politely call an antagonistic relationship. Like, not openly, but subtly.
Yeah, look, we're working on a Dragon Age game. We promise, even though we didn't mention the name Dragon Age anywhere in that trailer. But no, I mean, like, seriously, I think if Anthem does not land, the clock may be out for BioWare as we know it.
Yeah.
I cannot talk about things, but I am hopeful. I have pre-ordered. I will be playing. I am really hoping that it's a good game.
I hope so as well. I mean, like, the premise of I fly around in an Iron Man suit, actually in with magic, like, that's
Space magic.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty cool
like-
sounding.
I like space magic and I like Iron Man suits. Okay, I don't know, they're like jungles, but I'm sure they have more than one biome.
I hope so.
It's BioWare. They're famous for having more than one biome. Very, like, specifically and aggressively more than one biome. I look forward to I look forward to the desert level and the ice level and the water level.
Yep.
All the major planet types.
Yeah.
I feel like Hollow Knight Hornet is another one on the list that we're hoping exists.
I mean, I feel like
That doesn't have a date.
This doesn't have a date, but I know they're working on it. But yeah, like, more Hollow Knight. I would like some more Hollow Knight, and I would love, and specifically, I would love to play as Hornet.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
really
please.
exciting.
I feel like this is going to be one of those games that I'm going to know how I feel about it before I buy it, but I'm still going to buy it and play it anyway and have those feelings. And there are worse things. Like, I suspect I'm going to feel exactly the way the way about it exactly as I feel. Wow, that sentence was a disaster.
It's okay. Just walk it off.
Seriously. I feel like I'm going to think the same of it as I do of Hollow Knight, but play it anyway, which is fine. I like Hornet.
Game I'm not seeing hardly any discussion of, but I'm super looking forward to, is Ooblets. And I feel like I'm probably going to have to back up and explain what Ooblets is.
Yes.
It took me a second. I remember now seeing a video about it. And yeah, it looks adorable.
So
and I've not seen
Ooblets
anything
is
else.
this mishmash of Pokemon and Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing. It's a game where you raise critters, like literally grow them in your garden, and then you take them around the world and engage with other trainers in dance fights. It is amazing. I need this game already.
It looks like it's got a similar art style as Untitled Goose Game.
This sounds like
that.
This sounds like it could fill the hole left by Viva Pinata.
I mean, like, it's kind of an adorable game, and like, I was kind of on the fence as not having a PC Pokemon game, really, until I saw the dance battles, and the dance battles really sealed it for me. Like, it's amazing. Like, literally, they do have dance-offs.
Watching these, like, little silly mushroom-shaped things dance fight would be amazing, so I can totally see this.
And this was one of those games that came out of the PC gaming show. That thing nobody really should watch, but yeah, this was the highlight of that show for me. And I've feverishly watched it ever since, and like, it keeps getting closer to release, but I'm hoping 2019 is the year. I just, as a side note, like, we created these lists, and mine has a lot of games on it.
Yours has a lot of optimism on it.
Yeah, it's true.
Also,
although that's not the most optimistic game in this list.
Yep, we've actually yet to get to the most optimistic game in this list.
Or actually, no,
I don't know.
There are two real big contenders, and one of them is in your list.
It's true. We can, like, I don't know, we could maybe rapid fire through a number of these.
Yeah. I know I'm looking forward to Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and they say it's coming out in 2019.
Didn't they also say it was coming out in 2018?
I mean, it was announced in 2017, so it must be coming out sometime, right?
Ori and the Blind Forest is still some of my favorite movement in a Metroidvania. I don't necessarily love the combat, which is why it's not my favorite Metroidvania, but boy, does it feel fun to fly around.
That's why instead of boss fights, it has, like, movement gauntlets.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hope Ori and the Will of the Wisps is more.
So we're going to go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and get to the most unrealistic of these. Actually,
arguably.
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
There are 2 trailers for this game. It could come out. It could happen.
I mean,
lots of things could happen.
It is almost in Duke Nukem Forever territory.
I think it may be past Duke Nukem Forever.
Like, it was announced a really long time ago.
I'm forgetting about the original announcement for this game.
Yeah,
this has been vaporware.
It has had 2 announcements like that before this current announcement.
But that being said, like, Beyond Good and Evil is 2003.
Yes.
So
I guess that's true, because, like, by sheer number of years.
They've had 2 trailers for it.
Yeah, the first one was in 2008.
Mm-hmm. Back when it was announced.
Anyways, yeah, I mostly don't think this will come out, but if it does, boy, won't I seem smart.
Digitation.
I'd love it if this finally came out, but it's not going to happen. So
no.
If you're listening to this in early 2020 and it is in fact out, feel free to gloat at us.
I mean, I also feel like another title that I'm not expecting to come out ever, not even like a little bit, but I would love that to happen, is Metroid Prime 4.
It'll come out eventually.
Someday. Yeah.
Maybe not 2019.
I mean,
it'll come out eventually.
We'll maybe get like part of a picture of Samus in a Nintendo Direct at some point this year to go along with the logo that we got that was a still logo.
Presumably that's what Retro Studios is working on right now, since they're not working on any Donkey Kong games. So we'll see it eventually.
Yeah.
But back to the pure imagination part of this list. There's also Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I mean, on paper, a Star Wars game set after Revenge of the Sith dealing with Order 66 from Respawn, the folks that did Titanfall, that all sounds kind of cool, which is why I put it in the list. But, like, I feel like this game is mostly vaporware.
I feel like the title of this game was invented on the spot when the dude from Respawn got interviewed at the Game Awards. The Game Awards?
I think it was the Game Awards, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, this is supposedly a 2019 game as well. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. Like, maybe we'll see it with a real trailer at E3 of 2019, but
or someone real good at keeping a lid on things.
I have no faith in EA Star Wars games. Like, I am waiting for them to fall on their face and Disney to decide to give someone else the damn license. But yeah, like, that's yeah.
I'm long past getting excited about high concept game pitches, Star Wars game pitches in the EA sphere. I don't think any of those games are going to be real.
Game that I'm actually really excited about now, that I was not even on my radar, is Far Cry New Dawn, because I've been playing Far Cry 5 and I like that game a lot. And this is the first Far Cry title to ever be a direct sequel to another Far Cry title.
I was going to ask if this was the primal version of Far Cry 5, like Blood Dragon before it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, it's
or if this
supposedly
is actually going to be a game set in the actual Far Cry universe.
No, it's like a direct sequel to the events that happened at the end of Far Cry 3, apparently.
Oh.
So, like, it continues what happened. Because, like, I heard what the ending is, unfortunately, because they talked about it at the Game Awards.
Right.
So things don't end up well for, the folks in Far Cry 5. So, but it did get me interested enough to start playing Far Cry 5, and I'm enjoying the game quite a bit. It's not dissimilar from a lot of Far Cry games, but, like, its setting is oddly familiar to me because I grew up in a very rural environment. So a lot of the characters that you meet that are trying to fight against the cultists are very familiar characters to me. So I think it will be interesting to see where that goes in a sequel game. Similarly, I am really looking forward to Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yes.
Oh
And
my goodness,
very much.
yes.
I have not played New Colossus yet. And
you need to.
I am planning on playing it soon-ish.
It's pretty crazy.
But, like, yeah, I am so on board with New Colossus. Not New Colossus, Youngblood. Yeah.
I am kind of ready to not be playing as BJ Blazkowicz.
I feel like Youngblood is doing the thing that we said that the series should do after New Order.
Yes.
Which is good.
Ooh, one that isn't on this list, but I'm going to throw it on here, is Persona 5 R.
Whatever that is.
You don't even know what that is.
Oh.
I mean,
it has
right,
Persona in the name. I mean, so
I'm
obviously...
I mean, my guess is it's going to be a golden style thing, right?
I mean,
yeah, probably.
Admittedly, I am super excited about the prospect of Persona 5 Golden, because I discovered, like, going back after we did the show about it, going back and, like, looking through Persona 4, a lot of the stuff that takes it from I really like this game to this is one of my favorite games ever came from the Golden upgrades. And so if they do the same thing with 5, I'm going to be very excited. I don't know how, but...
Similarly, one that I did not have on this list, now that I'm just thinking about it, is Monster Hunter World Iceborne. And I'm going to be super sad because they're probably going to distance the release between console and PC. And I would really rather play it on the PC.
I suspect they're not going to do that, if only because it's coming out in, like, autumn. It's going to be a while before we see that game.
Ooh, I'm here for it, though. Didn't realize that was coming out next year.
Yep.
So,
mid-year release.
Lumping a bunch of the things together. 2019 looks like it might be the year of awesome samurai and ninja games, which I'm super excited about because it's been a really long time since there've been a number of those of good ones, and like I've had a craving.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
like,
am super looking forward to the Sucker Punch entry into the list.
yeah, like Sucker Punch doing Ghosts of Tsushima looks super exciting. I like Sucker Punch's work, and I'm really interested to see what they do with that. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I'm pretty sure that's actually From Software doing a ninja game.
It is From Software doing a ninja game,
which I'm pretty excited about. Like, I thought Neo was great.
It is actually Ninja Souls.
Yeah, and like
I mean, they did make the Tenchu game before they made Dark Souls,
right? And I love the Tenchu games, and they're the games that I desperately want to play. And so this feels like I might go home again. And then I know their Onimusha Warlords is coming out again in the 2019 is
I'm
also
super excited about that.
That's cool.
It's like everything.
And it's like next week, I think, or
Yeah,
it's soon.
It's like everything everything in the like Resident Evil style of game is all happening again.
Also, Neo 2 is supposed to come out at some point this year.
Weirdly, I'm more excited about Sekiro and Ghosts of Tsushima than I am about Neo. Mostly because I know that Sucker Punch's style is less like Soul style punishing. And one of the things that I found that I don't actually like all that much in Souls games is the movement. And Sekiro looks like it's doing some really clever, interesting stuff with movement, the way Tenchu did. So I'm really excited about a Souls game with a movement emphasis, or I guess traversal emphasis more than movement emphasis. But yes, Neo 2 is also this year, and I will probably play it.
So another big title that doesn't really have a release date, and I say big title as in it's going to get a lot of press, is In the Valley of the Gods, which is the follow-up title to drawing a blank on the name of it.
Firewatch.
Firewatch, yeah.
So I played through Firewatch and I liked it, but not enough to comment much on it. But I also but I'm really interested in seeing what they do with In the Valley of the Gods, because I'm like a little bit more interested in the subject matter baseline.
I've not heard about this game, but I love Firewatch.
It's basically two people, one of whom is a washed up treasure hunter and the other one is their assistant, and they have a history like doing Indiana Jones style archaeology in Egypt.
Cool.
Right? I'm here for it.
So, like, two games that are also in the realm of just vibrant waking dreams are Wasteland 3 and The Outer Worlds. And I don't think we'll see either of them, but I kind of lumped them together because it's like before and after from a genre. Wasteland 3 is basically like the old school Fallout style game with way higher fidelity. And
I really
The Outer Worlds is like modern Fallout from Obsidian.
I really want to see one of those like games like Wasteland or Pillars of Eternity or so on do something that isn't real time with pause. Otherwise I would love those games, but I can't with the real time with pause.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
I'm also kind of curious because, I'll be honest, my issue with Wasteland was it seemed like Fallout without the charm. And it turns out that's really depressing.
I mean, yeah.
I did not enjoy Wasteland 2 as much as
Wasteland's
I expected.
It's a rough game. It's not a pleasant time.
But like but that's the thing. Fallout I was like, I love Fallout, I love Wasteland. No, Wasteland has no joy.
Yeah. Wasteland 1 is the reason I don't like post-apoc much. And Fallout didn't really help me with that. It's eventually gotten there, but
I think The Outer Worlds looks super interesting, which is Obsidian's modern Fallout-ish game.
I also think it looks very interesting. I also think it's a pipe dream.
I'm super fascinated by...
I think it'll come out. I just don't think it'll come out this year.
That's fair.
I'm not thrilled how much their marketing is leaning on. Look at us. We made Fallout, the original one, and Fallout New Vegas.
I mean,
remember how
much
you liked
really
Fallout
like
New
those
Vegas?
games.
Admittedly,
Considering that
like
this is the year they became not independent, it seems like it's
Yeah.
a perfectly fine thing for them to be leading on those things.
it feels like, from what we've seen of it so far and the story beats, it feels like it's going to like draw heavily on Borderlands 2 comedically. But I mean, that's not a bad thing. Like it looks like it's going to be cool. I don't think it'll be a 2019 release, even though it's supposedly slated for 2019.
The other thing about that game is that there's a reasonably high chance it's going to be a Windows Store / Xbox One exclusive.
Yeah.
Oh.
Although actually they've come out and said no, that's not true.
Huh.
Because like they're releasing it on all these other platforms as well, and they said they were already in talks with Steam, so it will be available on Steam. So like maybe enough was already in the works before the Microsoft buyout to like make it not be that way. I have learned to accept the Windows Store if for no reason other than the Windows, like the Windows native version of Minecraft is infinitely better than the Java Minecraft. Like, it is just night and day difference. It is so much better.
Nope. If your game is released exclusively on the Windows Store, it is dead to me.
Same.
I don't even know what games are released exclusively on that. Although
Killer Instinct, Forza.
Gears.
Well, yep. I mean, there's a reason that Crackdown 3 isn't on my list.
Crackdown 3 is never coming out.
I mean, also that.
I mean, I put Beyond Good and Evil 2 on my list.
In the game I'm really hoping is not horrible, unlike the other mobile game that's already out from this franchise,
Yikes.
Harry Potter Wizards Unite, because Hogwarts Mysteries was awful.
Oh, is this somebody else
Niantic.
trusts? Yeah, somebody else trusts Niantic.
Yep, it is, exactly. It is, you're a wizard in the wizarding world, and it's an AR game.
Okay.
And I'm mostly on board with this. Like,
Yep.
I hope it's really good.
Sure.
They need to figure out how to make AR games not suck when you don't live in a big walkable city.
Yes.
That would be
This
nice.
is the core problem I have with Niantic that other people have solved. Like, when I was talking about the Walking Dead AR game, it is perfectly fine to play in my suburb neighborhood. Like, there are lots of objectives out in the world that I can get within walking distance of my house. That is not true for Pokemon Go. I can walk through my entire neighborhood and maybe find 2 or 3 Pokemon, period.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's hoping that they have reinvented their technology and it will also make the other 2 games that they have work better. I feel like this is going to be a near and dear to Thalen's heart if it actually gets released. Psychonauts 2.
Yes.
I mean,
Psychonauts is the
yes.
best game.
I love Psychonauts so much.
I mean, I just know this is like specifically a Thalen favorite.
Oh, yes. Hopefully by now everybody's played Psychonauts. It's come out like free on every single platform ever at some point or another. I think you can probably buy it for $1 even when it's not available free. If you haven't played it, for God's sake, why not? Go play it. But yeah, like they wanted to make a sequel and it just, it was a sleeper hit. It never was going to happen. And now it is because of Fig, whatever, which is, I don't know.
Does Microsoft own that now? Because it was like Obsidian's founder started that.
I mean, who knows? Microsoft owns GitHub. Strange things are happening.
I have to say, I wasn't sure. Like, I felt like a sequel had to be like, oh, they have to somehow figure out how to restore the status quo. Because, like, the end of Psychonauts 1 is like, this, anything continuing on from here makes even less sense than the rest of Psychonauts did.
I mean, based on the trailer they've given us, I mean, they're just taken straight from the end of that.
Yup,
Like,
I know.
Like, the VR thing happens, which at some point I want to play that, but I don't have a VR thing, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Look.
like, we're going to get to go
FFX2
to headquarters.
Which one?
Final Fantasy X-2.
It's true.
But, like...
And worse, 13-2.
So, I do want to also point out, I was going to go on, I really like the plot that they are presenting in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
The plot of, you're now a full-fledged Psychonaut. Congratulations. Also, your mentor's your mentor, Ford, is finally cracking, and
I mean,
that's
he's
what you're
been
solving.
cracked, but now it's
he's
getting
held himself
worse.
together. He's held himself together, and now it's getting worse. That's a really cool story to tell.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense because we left Whispering Rock. Like he was staying underground in Whispering Rock specifically because that was a place where he could keep his brain together. And now we're not there anymore. So yeah, I would expect him to fall apart completely. But yeah, I can't wait. Like, I mean, anything Tim Schafer makes, I'm here for. But this in particular.
I used to say that. I'm not quite there right now. I wasn't a huge fan of stacking. But like, yeah, this game I'm definitely all about. This is also probably pure fantasy.
I mean, they've got investors to answer to, so maybe that helps somehow. I don't know.
It still kind of falls into the category of crowdfunded game that will come out eventually.
A little bit. I mean, we have a trailer that appears to include actual gameplay, so that's something.
We're further along than we were.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cherry pick one from Ash's list now because this is also interesting to me. Granblue Fantasy Relink.
Yeah, this is an action RPG for presumably consoles, presumably PS4, because it's a Japanese game.
Granblue Fantasy is not Dragalia Lost, but it has a lot of the same story beats, or at least a lot of the same cast, just different remixes of them.
It also has an anime. Granblue Fantasy is Cygames' big game. It is how they made basically all of their money. And this year, they it was supposed to come out last year, and that didn't happen. But they're doing a collaboration with Platinum to make an action RPG, which is
awesome.
Which has traditionally been a way to, lose lots of money until Nier Automata happened. Who knows? So who even knows? Cygames has also had the weird misfortune of managing to not lose all of their money by doing unlikely endeavors, like starting up an anime studio or joining into mobile games with Nintendo. So, yeah, who knows?
They are trying. Are
you theorizing there's a Brewster's Millions thing going on here?
Look. They have been trying to. They have so much money. They've been trying to find new ways to spend it, and it seems like whatever they do, they get more money.
I like to imagine that there's like a producers thing going on where they're like desperately trying to bomb something super hard, and they just can't manage to.
It does not seem to be the actual case, but it sure feels like it sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be interesting. Like, the other things that they've done, I've played, have been interesting. I really love Dragalia Lost. I think it may be a better Granblue Fantasy. Like, I think I said that last week.
I don't think you're wrong.
Also, like, in the realm of pure fantasy, Ash, you have Pokemon, like a main series Pokemon game for 2019.
They don't announce those until the spring, the year they come out, so I don't think that's pure fantasy.
Yeah, you have a point.
What system will it be on?
Switch.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're done with new stuff on the 3DS.
I mean, we're kind of not. Like, there's a 3DS game I'm probably going to buy this year.
Okay, I'm done with the 3DS. I'd really like all of my Nintendo games to be on the Switch right now, so I don't have to care about any of the other consoles. And in that avenue, I'm looking forward to new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe on the Switch.
Thanks so much.
It's a horrible name, but it's a great game.
It's not on the Wii U. It's not new. I just hate everything about that name.
Yeah.
Nintendo's
not great at naming things.
To their credit, it does have both of the Mario Brothers in it.
So it's not inaccurate as well as dumb.
It's still not new or on the Wii U, so,
Oh, speaking of pure fantasy, I'm really looking forward to Super Mario Maker 2.
Has that even been announced?
Nope.
No.
Okay. But it seems real likely.
I would be fine with just Super Mario Maker coming out on the Switch, period. Like, call it Deluxe, put it on the Switch, and life's good.
I think that would have already happened by now if they weren't making... Like, either they're not going to do that. Yeah, I don't know.
So, no one bought a Wii U. So, what have we seen re-releases of so far? We have a new Smash Brothers. We have a Captain Toad re-release. We have a new Super Mario Brothers re-release. We don't have a 3D Land re-release, but I suspect that will eventually happen.
Did Tropical Freeze re-release?
Tropical Freeze re-released. Super Mario Kart re-released. Like, we might get every single Nintendo Wii U first-party game in some form on the Switch.
I am perfectly fine with this. In fact, I would love to give them my money so I don't have to care about my Wii U. It's a horrible console. Like, I like the concept of the Wii U, but like, no, it was a bad console.
The Wii U is not completely dead to me until Xenoblade X comes out on something else.
I mean,
At
just wait.
At which point, the Wii U is completely dead to me. You got Smash Brothers, so that killed the other thing that was keeping that console around for me. But no, there's still a few to go. Paper Mario Color Splash could get a re-release. I suspect that the Fire Emblem / SMT game will get a re-release.
And speaking of that, new Fire Emblem game.
Yeah, that's probably actually going to come out this year, unlike some of the things we just talked about.
I have never played a Fire Emblem game, so I'm kind of looking forward to this being my first, and I'm hoping it's a good one.
A lot of people's first Fire Emblem game was Awakening on the 3DS. It was definitely a new start for the series, which has made people who liked the series before Awakening upset, but they can get over it.
I mean, even pushing further into the realm of pure fantasy is Town by Game Freak, which I'm hoping is a working title.
That doesn't sound like a working title.
Wait, Game Freak does anything other than Pokemon?
They've done a number of things that are not Pokemon.
Wow.
They're working on a new not Pokemon game that's like a medievally kind of, not like a dungeon crawlery kind of thing, sort of.
It's a fantasy RPG that is entirely set inside a single town.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was announced that was a working title, but I strongly suspect that it's going to come out with that. Even the working titles we've seen recently, like Octopath Traveler and Granblue Fantasy Relink.
I mean, Ontario Tangram, which I know is not the name of the game. It will always be Ontario Tangram to me.
I know the first word is oratorio, but I don't remember what the second word actually is.
No, I think it actually is Tangram.
It is actually Tangram.
Okay.
It's the first hit if you do search for Ontario Tangram, though.
I'm not surprised.
I own dual sticks only for that game. It was a rare, accessory for the Dreamcast.
What else is on this list? Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon Everybody will actually come out next year, probably. It
So
does not have an English release date.
Oh.
That's another series I have never played one of.
Total War 3 Kingdoms is exciting for exclusively me in this room, but comes out in March.
Likewise,
Does Untitled...
I might be the only person interested in Dragon Marked for Death, but it's got a release date in January.
What is Dragon Marked for Death?
It's an action RPG platformer by Inti Creates.
Where you turn into things.
You do not turn into things.
What? Oh no, you just have a dragon arm. That's right.
Yeah, one of the characters has a dragon arm. One of the characters has dragon legs. It's weird.
Okay. Does Untitled Goose Game actually have a release date?
Not specifically, but 2019. They say it's coming out in 2019.
Seems like it ought to come out this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play it. It'll be great.
I mean, I am already looking forward to Tangledeep on the Switch, just because I found out about it tonight. So hopefully that's a thing that releases.
I mean, the structure of roguelikes means that I would rather play that on a portable.
Digimon Survive? There's a new Digimon game?
There was a new Digimon game last year.
There will always
even
be
though
new
I was
Digimon
the only
games.
one who played it. It's true, there's been a new Digimon game every year for the past several.
Was Digimon the game that you put music CDs in?
That was Monster
your
Rancher.
That was
PlayStation?
Monster
That was
Rancher.
Monster
Yes.
Rancher. Okay.
Monster Rancher is dead.
That was the series I liked.
Very sad.
There were a bunch of Digimon games for the PS1 that involved you taking care of a farm of Digimon or whatever else. And the Digimon release for 2017 was one of those. But the release for 2016 was the best monster collecting RPG that came out in 2016, and I know Pokemon Sun and Moon also came out that year. This one is a tactical RPG, so in the FF Tactics grid-based style. So I'm hoping it is good. We know very little about it so far, other than it has a release date of this year. Given how that works, it probably means it won't come out in English until next year, but
Yeah.
So, while I pre-ordered Anthem, there's another game on this list that's coming out not long after Anthem that I have not pre-ordered, and I am not sure if it's going to be interesting or not, and that is The Division 2.
Oof.
And I probably liked The Division more than anyone else in this channel, so...
I think so.
it seems kind of likely.
Yep.
So I'm not sure, I don't know. I finally hit the level cap not long ago in the original Division. I don't know, I'm taking a wait and see attitude on this. I'm hoping there will be a test that I can get in to see if it's enjoyable or not. I'm
Even
not
if you
as...
tell me that it's enjoyable, the chances of me buying that game are zero.
Yeah. I will say, what I've seen so far is this seems like it's Division, but with some hope. in that like you're mostly helping out little enclaves of survivors. Like one of the videos I've seen is you're basically helping out like a kindergarten that like has been sheltering kids and such from being taken over by, I don't know, some faction of baddies.
This is not really selling me on this, I'll be honest.
No, didn't figure.
Oof, yeah.
And I don't know if I'm the only one who's played the Metro games, but I'm looking forward to Metro Exodus.
I've played the first bit of the first Metro and kind of bounced off it real hard.
Which one? Like the
I mean,
original?
it was the re-release.
Okay.
But it was still a rail shooter, and I bounced off it real hard.
Yeah. Because, like, there were significant technical problems with the original release of the Metro games.
No,
but when Last Light came out and they re-released them, yeah, it was a little bit better. But yeah, I wanted it to be Russian Fallout, and it wasn't Russian Fallout.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of not Russian Fallout this one's going to be. I mean, parts of it take place on a train, so that's kind of cool. I like Snowpiercer.
Sounds like an excellent excuse for it to be a rail shooter.
I also was like, I like Fallout. I bet I'll like Metro. And then I realized that Metro also has no joy.
No, it has even less joy than anything else. I mean, when you're in a society that the actual currency is bullets, you're maybe not in a good place.
It's probably more sensible than bottle caps. Probably.
Yeah, but less fun to acquire. Nothing makes me happier than drinking a Nuka-Cola and hearing the ching of money hitting my inventory. I'm also looking forward to Rage 2, because I think I'm probably one of the few people that really liked Rage 1.
Rage 2 looks cool.
It looks like it's going in a vastly different direction than Rage 1, which is probably good for the survival of that franchise, but will maybe not make me super happy, because, like, I loved everything about Rage 1, except for it was too damn short. It felt like it was like a quarter of the game I expected it to be. I got through a point where I thought it was about to do a World 2 on me, where everything now opens up, and no, that was the end of the game. So, yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate. But I greatly enjoyed it, so I am looking forward to Rage, but with Technicolor paint. Because, like, it's a way brighter game than Rage was. Also, looking forward to Minecraft Dungeons, whatever that ends up being. I mean, it sounds interesting to me. And I really like the Windows client, so maybe it will be cool. And in the realm of, like, not going to happen at all this year is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Because I have
this year.
I have serious concerns about that game right now.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we keep getting Kickstarter updates, but yeah, it's... I don't know.
I mean, they've dropped 2 platforms from it, so they're minimizing to try and cut down on the work, so...
You don't want to have to test and or port this to Linux or Mac.
I mean, they're not wrong, okay?
Yeah.
Linux and Mac
because our return on investment for doing those things is minimal.
Like, that is so insignificant a number of users that, like, it really isn't worth their time since they don't have money to burn. And I'm sure that will really upset Lyle that I said that. But I'm sorry, Linux gaming is not a thing. Unless it's through Wine or one of the other emulators.
But it means it's still not a thing. It just, you can pretend it is with an emulator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like dual boot is probably your best way to game on a Linux box. Another one that is like so far in the realm of not going to happen, but supposedly has a title of Welcome to Animal Crossing.
I didn't know they even got a title.
Yeah, I've heard there is a title now. It may be a working title, but I'm down with a Switch Animal Crossing game.
I suspect a lot of people will be, and it might be Nintendo's big title for this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope they're clever and tie it into Pocket Camp, at least a little bit.
That seems like a solid bet.
And I think I'm going through my list, and I think the last thing is Dragon Quest Builders 2 from my list.
We also didn't mention the Final Fantasy expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
That's
a thing that's definitely going to happen.
That's
definitely
pretty big, and yeah.
And it's I don't know, I'm excited about it.
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm hoping that I'll be all caught up on the main story quest, in time for it.
And next week we have Blue Mages, I think.
Yes.
So I will at least be playing that.
Yeah. I was happy to see that apparently Blue Mages are going to be a way to earn allied seals. Because...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because that's what you use to buy all of the speed increases for all of the original game zones. And they're
kind of
pain
annoying
in
to
the
get.
ass to earn. So yeah, another way to get those would be great.
Interesting.
So, before we started recording this show, we had like a long list of topics. We made it through exactly 2 of them, as I don't remember who predicted that. But
I predicted that.
yeah. Is there anything that we missed
Our
on
resident realist.
the 2019 things we're interested in topic?
I don't think so. It was pretty comprehensive. Like 2019 it seems like it's got a decent chance of having a whole bunch of really cool games come out.
Yeah.
Well, and like what makes it worse is there's a bunch of stuff from 2018 that I didn't have time to play. So
Yep.
that'll be big on my list in 2019. I'm hoping to get through
finish
God of War. Also, isn't Last of Us 2 coming out in 2019?
Is it?
Allegedly.
I think so. So that one will be a big one.
I mean, allegedly that game is coming out in 2019.
You know
Less
what?
allegedly than some of the things you said already, though. So, whatever.
So what I'm really hoping for in 2019, in addition to games, is for someone to release a good PC VR headset that is cheaper than the Vive or the Rift. Even if it's just a cheaper version of those 2 headsets. Because like the buy-in...
cheaper version of the Vive? Or the Rift, rather?
Well, yeah, but that's like, doesn't work with a PC.
Oh.
That's like a phone kind of... It connects to your phone sort of thing, I think. It's not like a fully fledged VR headset.
It's just like a new fancier version of Google Cardboard.
Kind of. Kind of like the Samsung device that they had.
Which was also just a fancier version of Google Cardboard.
Right. But like, I would love to start playing around with VR on the PC, especially now that I have more than enough video card to do it with. But like, the buy-in on getting a good headset is rather steep. Because I still think it's in the $400 to $600 range to buy in. Which makes PlayStation VR look all the better at, I think, $299. That usually comes in a bundle with a bunch of games. I don't know. I have a bunch of hope for 2019. I cleaned up Twitter. It's a better place to be. I mean, I cleaned up my personal Twitter.
I was gonna say.
I've done nothing to unfuck Twitter as a whole.
Yeah,
I cleaned up my personal Twitter.
I was gonna say,
still
I feel
a terrible
like
hell site, but
I feel like you're cashing checks that I don't think you can cover.
No, I did a lot to clean up my personal Twitter. Like, it's a more enjoyable environment for me right now. So 2019 is already looking ahead. I don't know. Here's hoping it's going to be a good year, because 2018 was a mess.
Yep.
One of my favorite videos that's floating around is like a guy crawling out of a dumpster and he has 2018 on his head, and like there's a guy waving to him from the road and he has 2019, and then they go off and go on like a dance spree, and that's what I'm hoping from this year, is like that it's just universally better for all of us. I mean, we have several months to maybe make that happen, so who knows?
No comment.
Or we could be really sad in looking back at 2019.
I'm just going to say this year was off to an auspicious start for me.
I had a real questionable first week.
I didn't have a great first week either, so...
I'm just saying, it seems like 2019 is trying to warn us about itself.
Look, I'm trying to be hopeful. I have yet to have the last bits of hope beaten out of me. So, yeah, on that downer note, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will record maybe a more normal show next week.
Yay!
You have normal shows?
As normal as we ever get.
Anyway, night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.